Good evening, everyone, and a very warm welcome to today's leadership lecture. Today, we are honored to have in our midst Mr. Mathi Vathanan, an illustrious IAS officer of the 1994 batch Odisha cadre. Mr. Mathi Vathanan is an esteemed alumnus of IIT Madras, where he obtained his MTech degree in mechanical engineering. He currently serves as the Additional Chief Secretary, heading the Housing and Urban Development Department for the Government of Odisha. Mr. Mathi Vathanan leads several urban flagship initiatives that have significantly improved the lives of citizens in Odisha. These initiatives include the Odisha Livable Habitat Mission or the JAGA Mission, Universal Access to Piped Water Supply, 24/7 Drink from Tap Mission, and many more. The JAGA mission, conceptualized and implemented under his leadership, has received several global awards. He is also the architect of the Drink from Tap mission, under which water is supplied on a 24/7 basis, benefiting 26 lakh population so far in 24 cities in Odisha. Mr. Mathi Vathanan serves on the advisory board of the International Water Association for Inclusive Urban Sanitation. He is also a member of the Advisory Committee for the Global Advocacy for Health, Safety and Dignity of Sanitation Workers of the Sustainable Sanitation Alliance. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Mathi Vathanan to today's leadership lecture. Please give him a big hand. Over to you, sir.
Good evening to all of you. At the outset, I would like to thank my alma mater, IIT Madras, for inviting me to share my experiences and thoughts on some of the works we are currently doing in Odisha. I thank Professor Director, Professor Liji Ma'am, Professor Magesh, who have been instrumental in getting me here on this talk. So in the next 45-50 minutes, I'd be talking about urban transformation which we have taken up in Odisha, the transformation which we have seen in the last, say, about 5-6 years in various sectors. At the end, I would like to spend about 15-20 minutes with all of you on clarifying some of your doubts on that. The topic is on leadership, transformational leadership, urban. To give a glimpse of urban Odisha, there are about, Odisha you may be knowing, all of you. I don't need to explain. There are about 115 cities in Odisha, large, medium and small, with about 7 million population, with a decadal growth rate of about, we can say about 30%, one of the fastest growing state in urbanization. And the transformation has happened in the last, say, 5-6 years, impacting the lives of about 70 lakh across the cities, not on pilot basis, across on universal coverage basis. Some of the sectors I would like to focus where we made transformation and impact. The first is the slums. All of us know about a slum, the specificities of slum. What do you call as a slum? How do you define a slum? And how the globe is struggling to deal with that problem. Slum is a huge issue globally today. What do you do with the slums, slum dwellers? How do you resolve it? Is it a solvable problem? Whether we can do away with the slum without bulldozing, without removing, without uprooting. I'll tell you what we have done. Water supply, you know how critical it is, especially in times like summer, long queues, erratic supply, no supply for several days. The supply could be contaminated, waterborne diseases, hospitalization, deaths, procuring water, spending huge money on buying water every day, every month. So, what the poor would do. Third is lack of access to the toilets. Still, lot do not have access. Sustaining open defecation free status is a huge challenge. We have, with the open defecation free status, we have achieved construction of toilets. The issue is on the usage of toilets and what happens after toilets. Do we have underground sewer system to clean up all those things, or the story of the fecal matter ends with just septic tanks? Beyond septic tanks, what happens? What was the experience of Odisha? Garbages. Urban areas are synonymous with garbages lying everywhere. So how a city can manage garbage efficiently, scientifically, in a sustainable manner? What Odisha has done in the last few years. And the last is these scavengers. The sanitation workers engaged in the cleaning of the septic tanks, toilets, sewer systems, and the deaths we see in the newspapers from time to time. Accidental deaths happening in the sewer systems or in the septic tank. So, what happens to them? How Odisha has dealt with that? The transformation which has happened in these sectors listed, I would like to briefly talk, then come to some of the principles which I find were useful in managing these transformations. So in Odisha we have, I said, 115 cities, 2,919 slums. About 18 lakh people are residing, which means that 25% of the Odisha's urban population lives in the slums. And the larger the city size, higher would be the percentage of slum population. Bhubaneswar, the state capital, has about 40% of the population living in the slums. If you take Mumbai, if you take Delhi, if you take Chennai, it will be very, very substantial. We may not be knowing. They are so dense, it's not easily visible. But the cities grow mostly in the slums. How do we identify a slum? How do you say a place as a slum? Any idea? What do you call as a slum? IIT Madras is a slum? No. Why? Annanagar is a slum? Besanagar is a slum? What is a slum? Slum is a place where you don't have the basic infrastructure, amenities and services. You don't have access to water, clean water, good road, houses are precarious. People are living in an inhabitable condition. That place is called slum. You can't live there. You should not be living there, but people live there. Major chunk of the population of the cities live in the slums. So why? Why? Who created the slums? Who is responsible? Are they responsible? What is their role in the slums? Do we have to live with the slums forever? Or is there a solution? Is the problem solvable or not? Can we ever have a slum-free city? Is it possible? If yes, how do we achieve it? If that is possible, why the states, countries are not achieving it? What prohibits? What inhibits? We realized in Odisha that slums are the epicenter of the poverty. Yes or no? It's the epicenter. High concentration of poverty. Full of deprivation. Nothing is there. People live there. The reasons are simple. That when the city grows, when you need more roads, more buildings, when you take up more construction, you need more workers. The city cannot produce workers. You and I will not go for road construction or building construction. The worker has to come from outside. City doesn't produce. So that leads to migrant workers. The people migrate from the nearby rural areas or other small towns and migrate to this because of the employment opportunities. They come here. Do we have housing for them? For the migrant workers? Will we give houses on rent to the migrant workers? Can they rent a place? Can they rent a flat? Why? None of us will rent because they don't have a fixed income, regular income. If they occupy, they will not leave. So there is no guarantee. So what they will do? They can't live on the roads. They look for a government land, unobjectionable land, which would be normally closer to Kuvam kind of place or a near garbage ground or somewhere where people will not object. Put up a small hut. One hut becomes 10 huts become 100 huts become 1000. Then a big Kannagi Nagar or some other slum would be coming up over a period of time. That is how slums have come over the years. It is the city's growth which has attracted those migrant workers. Migrant workers' presence has led to the creation of slum. Slum is a creation of the city. Slum dwellers don't create. The system has created that. Realizing the critical role of the slum dwellers in building a city and running a city, operating a city. So Odisha government has recognized the slum dwellers, recognized the slums and granted land rights. And realizing that they are the backbones of the cities, they not only create, they also operate the city, run the city. Without them, city cannot exist. And it's also that every life matters and every life deserves dignity. And who are these slum dwellers? These are the slum dwellers who construct our road, construct our buildings, construct the malls, and they are the street vendors, and they are the one who work in our homes, providing all menial services, and they are the drivers driving the autos, rickshaws, flying our children to the schools, colleges. So what do we do with the slums? Should we treat them as encroachment? Treat them as encroacher and bring in bulldozers and bulldoze it, evict them, or recognizing their critical role in building the city, running the city, operating the city, should we empower them? Odisha government has decided to empower them. They granted land rights. The underlying philosophy was we value people more than land. Our journey of last 5-6 years in Jaga Mission, we have given legal land rights to 257,000 slum families in 115 cities, including Bhubaneswar, Cuttack, major cities. I said we have 2,919 slums, out of which 1,919 slums, 1,654 slums have been upgraded. That means all necessary infrastructure, amenities and services have been provided to those slums and they have been declared as non-slum, normal, like any other habitat. They are called Adarsh colonies. They are no more slums. And we have about 25 cities in Odisha which are slum-free. Slum-free cities, where in those cities you don't have slums. You only have livable habitat. All the households in those slums are provided with tap water supply at home. They have individual toilet for every home. They have pakka road, constructed road, drainages, sanitation systems, everything. And we call them as Adarsh colony. At the state level, 98% of the slum households have got tap water connection at home. And 88% of the slum households have individual toilets. And all these transformation has happened in the last 5-6 years, and the entire process has been done through the Slum Dwellers Association. It's not done by the government, it's not done by the city government or state government, through contractors. All these upgradation, the land rights, everything has been done in partnership with the slum dwellers through their association called Slum Dweller Association. The slum dwellers are organized into an association, and this association is partnering with the city government, and all these transformation has happened, working with the people, for the people. So we have amended the Municipal Act of the state. As I said, 25% of the population live in the slums. So to give equitable right to over the financial resources of the state, we have amended the law, making 25% entitlement for the slum dwellers. Whatever budget they use, the city government gets, 25% is earmarked for the urban poor to be spent in the slums for creating the infrastructure and maintaining them. To ensure that these slums, which have been transformed into others colonies or livable habitat, do not come back to slum status. Their assets are maintained, kept. And who will do that? It's not the contractors who will do it. It's the Slum Dweller Association who is responsible for it. And all the Slum Dwellers Association have signed memorandum of understanding with the city governments. The city commissioners have signed MOU with the Slum Dweller Association president, recognizing the Slum Dweller Association as the fourth tier of government and partner in the development and the governance process. And the funds are transferred from the city government to the Slum Dweller Association to their bank account. And with that financial resources, they undertake the creation of infrastructure and upkeep of the infrastructure. So governance at the grassroots level. We have created actually the fourth tier of government. In the constitution, you will find only 3 tiers. The federal government, union government, state government, and the city government. Odisha in practice has done the fourth tier, the Slum Dweller Association, recognizing the Slum Dweller Association as part of the governance structure. 30,000 slum leaders have been trained in the governance and development process. We have invested on the leaders, Slum Dweller Association leaders, community, and out of them 15,000 are women. They also take active part in that. Inclusivity in the grassroots level governance, inclusivity in the development process. And these are some of the images of some of our erstwhile slums, now no more. They are livable habitat. Creating that kind of ecosystem, creating that kind of place where the future leaders, the children of today, would become. You are grooming the future leaders of the country. And this brought Bill Gates last month to one of our slums to experience this firsthand. And he said that this is the global model to adopt for the rest of the world. And he said that Odisha's story is incredible. Next is sanitation. About 5-6 years ago in 2019, you will find garbage everywhere. There was no system of sanitation management in Odisha. Open defecation was prevalent, and everywhere garbage dumps. What have we done? We decided that the sanitation system should be addressed. We should put in a robust sanitation system. That too in partnership with the community. So we trained the women self-help groups within the locality, in the city level. We created about 495 well centers. We call them as well center. We don't call them as garbage processing center. It's waste to wealth. So we call them as well centers. These well centers are located in a decentralized manner. We don't centralize the things. We don't collect garbage from every home, transport, dump it. That was the system prevailing before 2019. Now what we do, we created this well center, solid waste processing center at the cluster level, at the ward level, decentralized level, and made this women self-help group in charge of that. We trained them, capacitated them, and empowered them. So they are responsible for collecting garbage from house to house, doorstep collection, bring them through these small vehicles, battery operated vehicle, transport them to these well centers newly created well centers, and convert the wet waste as compost, dry waste they segregate, recyclable, non-recyclable. Recyclable are sold to the recyclers, non-recyclable are sent to cement factory or thermal power plants for used as a secondary fuel. That is how we handle. This is the entire sanitation system is women driven, women run system. All assets are managed by them, operated and managed by them, end to end. No contractors involved. This is the fecal sludge management. We are aware of the toilets. We are familiar with the septic tank. But many of us do not know what happens beyond the septic tank. What happens if the septic tank is full? If the septic tank is full, we get to know from floating in the toilet. Then we call up, we make SOS call, ask the desludger, cesspool vehicle, and then he comes, charges about 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 rupees, and he decant it, take it away. After that, what happens to that? Nobody knows, because there is no treatment system. The cities, only few cities in the entire country, only 10% of the urban area of the entire country is sewered, connected to sewer system, underground sewer system. 80 to 90% do not have underground sewer system. They only have on-site sanitation system called the septic tank. And beyond septic tank, we have not created the treatment facilities, treatment systems. So that was the scenario in 2016-17. Odisha took up this as a challenge because whatever comes out of the septic tank, normally what is done is that the cesspool vehicles take away that and then they discharge it indiscriminately wherever they will find an open space below the flyover on an agricultural field, somewhere they will desludge and go. And all this, you will understand the environmental impact of this. We are worried about open defecation free. By open discharge of one cesspool vehicle with 3,000 liters capacity, which is the normal cesspool vehicle capacity, through open discharge, the contamination is equivalent to 5,000 people. 5,000 people defecating at the same time at the same place. That's the effect of one cesspool vehicle with 3,000 liters capacity discharging to the ground. That much contamination happens. And the contaminations to the either contaminating the soil or groundwater or the river source. Through gradient, it reaches the river sources, and that river source is the source from which your water is drawn. The drinking water is drawn. The intake will be located. Basically, the water which is drawn from the river sources are contaminated with the fecal matter which goes from our septic tanks. So this is how the cycle happens. To break it, to save the environment, to save the water sources from contamination, to ensure that we drink clean water, not the water mixed with the fecal matter. We took up this fecal sludge treatment plant in the last 5-6 years. The transformation which has happened is that we have 115 cities. All 115 cities have now operational fecal sludge treatment plants created in the last 5-6 years. Again, not run by contractors, run only by the women self-help groups of the locality or the transgender groups. All of them, exclusively for them. No male, no contractor. What is transformation is, not only we are able to address the vexing urban issue, we are addressing in such a way that you are also empowering a section of society, the marginalized section. That becomes not a byproduct, it becomes a co-product. Two products. These are some of the photographs. They are managing this is one group which is managing the largest fecal sludge treatment plant in Odisha that is located in Bhubaneswar, and it's a transgender group. The members of this, including the lady who is leading it, Meghna Sahu, we picked them from the traffic signals. Normally you would have encountered transgenders. Where do you find transgenders? You will find transgenders in the traffic signals or toll gates, knocking at your car, seeking alms, right? Either you prefer to look away from them, or you pretend that you are looking into your mobile, reading a WhatsApp message, right? They will be knocking at it. You will simply avoid. But that's the scenario. It's such an ugly scenario. You will feel so embarrassed to deal with them. Have you ever thought about them? What do you do about them? They are abandoned by their family. The family has completely ostracized them. They have no place to go. It's not their fault. Transgender is a genetic fault, right? It's a mutation. And if there is an issue, we are all products of, you say, God. We are all products of God. So if the product is defective, you don't find fault with the product. You find fault with the maker, manufacturer. It's a manufacturing defect. Transgender is a manufacturing defect. It's not the product's defect. So what the society does, society completely boycotts them. The family they don't accept it. In reality, the family refused to accept. Finding no other way, they escape to the urban. Actually, the transgender issue is a typical urban issue. The transgender issue does not happen in the villages. The moment anyone comes to know that their sexual identity is different, then they escape to the nearest urban center, big urban center, for the sake of anonymity. And they look for their community, and then they join that community and lead an anonymous life. And they take up only there are only two professions unfortunately available for transgenders. One is begging, another one is prostitution. These are the only two ways of avenues available for transgenders in this society. So we can't be like that. We have conscience, we have a role, we have a responsibility. We picked up these transgender from the traffic signals, from the toll gate, counseled them, organized them into groups, formed self-help groups, trained them, built their capacity, and entrusted them with these skill sets of managing sanitation system, managing parking lot management, managing the affordable food serving centers, all these things. Whatever activities we do in urban, we trained them. Today they are all professionals. They are all urban professionals managing all these end to end. The next is the sanitation worker, whom we call as scavengers. The Constitution prohibits manual scavenging. The law prohibits. You cannot have a manual scavenger. Manual scavenging cannot exist. Legally, it is punishable. But who cares about the law? Who cares about the Constitution? We still engage manual scavenger to clean up the septic tank, sewer systems, and the manual scavengers keep dying in the sewer systems, sewer network cleaning. They enter into the septic tank, they don't come out alive. Many people die. We get to see in the newspaper, and then we move on to the next page, next news item. Least bothered. But we engage them. Septic tank does not belong to government. Septic tank belongs to us. Individuals, public, death happens. We are not bothered. Society doesn't bother. We keep denying it, but they exist. It's a cursed system because they belong to a particular community. That community is always available for doing this. And you can pay them peanuts and they will do it. That is the sad state of affairs. It's a generational injustice done to this section, the manual scavengers. What have we done? We have come up with the This was the scenario. During COVID, we thought that we must transform the lives of these people. We worked on a scheme, and now we have a scheme called Garima. The name of the Garima in Odia. Garima means dignity. We have named the scheme as Dignity. And it is for the safety, dignity, safety and welfare of these scavengers. Now we have, in the 3 years of implementation, it assures higher wages. In fact, the sanitation worker has not even been listed as one of the activity in the work schedule. They were invisible. Not only they are socially ostracized, it was huge stigma attached to it. They are also, it is not even recognized by the labor department or government as one of the listed activities. We got it included, guaranteed higher wages, provided security, safety devices, all those things, financial assistance, all. And the name also we have changed. They were earlier called as scavengers, sanitation workers. We now call them as sewer entry professionals. It's a profession and they are professionals. So give them that kind of name, give them dignity, ensure safety and take care of their welfare. That's the objective of the scheme. You will find the glimpses of some of the photographs. And we have also constructed Garima Hall. It's kind of lounge for the sanitation workers, because this is one occupation, one activity or one profession where the worker is required, it is required to have bath multiple times. You and I, we need to have bath in the morning, maybe in the evening. They have, whenever they get into a septic tank or sewer tank, when they come out, they have to do it. Otherwise, their body will be full of shit. They will always be smelling. This is one occupation, the one activity where the worker has to be fully drunk all the time because of the smell that he would be coming out of it. Because that is the nature of the job. That is the hazard. And they are all least paid. They are so invisible. And we don't give any value to their life. So this Garima Hall, we call that as Garima Graha. That lounge is an air-conditioned lounge, a place for resting for these people with bathing facility, locker, so that they can come. They are provided with, we are providing two-wheeler assistance for them, mobile assistance, expecting that they will come using that, come to this Garima lounge, change their dress, put on the uniform, safety gears, go to the work, come back, have bath, change their dress and go back home. So to bring dignity for this, we have created this. And he is our consultant. He is our advisor. Yeah, his name is Mr. Bezwada Wilson, and he is an activist working for them. And we consulted them and designed this scheme. And now this scheme has been adopted by Government of India as Namaste, and even Tamil Nadu government also has adopted it. Next is the water supply. So water supply Odisha, about in 2017, this was the scenario. Less than 40% of the urban areas only had the pipe network. Less than 30% of the houses had the tap water connection. The cities were experiencing low pressure supply, erratic supply, intermittent supply, and there was huge disparity in availability of water supply between the cities as well as within the city, and contamination was frequent, leading to frequent waterborne diseases, hospitalization and deaths also. Now the scenario is that we have implemented drink from tap. Now 8 cities have 100% drink from tap facility, all 100% connection, all houses have tap water connection, and you will get directly drinkable quality of water adhering to IAS 10500, which is the quality standard for mineral water, which means that we are supplying mineral water in the houses. And we have 115 cities. Out of that, 105 cities have achieved 100% house connection. In those 105 cities, you will not find a single house which does not have a tap water connection. And work is going on in the remaining 10. And Puri has become the first drink from tap. 24 cities are now providing drink from tap supply, benefiting more than 26 lakh. And water losses have been reduced from 50 to 15%. And the Jalsati, again, we have engaged Women Self-Help Group as our partners. They are managing this water supply at the grassroots level, at the ward level, doing the customer relation. They are responsible for the connection, they are responsible for the metering, they are responsible for the meter reading, billing, revenue collection, quality check, all. And they are paid incentives based on their performance. During paucity of time, I need to rush. We are implementing urban wage employment scheme, which we introduced during the COVID period to provide employment to the migrant workers who have come back during the COVID. And some of the works taken up under the urban wage employment scheme is like this: the polluted nalas or drainage, which you will find in any urban place. So this is the transformed drains under this urban wage employment scheme done by the Women Self-Help Group. And in the journey, the decentralized approach and the community partnership have emerged as the DNA of the Odisha model. In all these schemes, you will find, whether it is Jaga Mission or the solid waste management system or fecal sludge management system or drink from tap mission, in all these schemes, we adopted decentralized approach, no centralization, and community partnership is an essential ingredient of all these interventions. Without community partnership, none of these models can work. Only through community partnership, these can work. We have built the DNA, we have built the community partnership has become the warp and weft of the urban governance fabric. And this is how community partnership has been built over the period of year. From 2017 onwards, we have built the community partnership in every scheme. And now they are executing more than, I think, 1,200 crore worth, and 200 crore has been paid as incentive to these Women Self-Help Group. So 1,700 crore value of work is being executed by the Women Self-Help Group. 200 crore has been paid as the incentive to them. And from these Women Self-Help Group, from these transgender groups, we have got 406 elected representatives, corporators, councillors, vice chairperson, chairperson, deputy mayor. And the deputy mayor of Bhubaneswar is a Women Self-Help Group member who was running our sanitation system. And the deputy mayor of Cuttack city, the second largest in Odisha, was the president of a slum dweller association. The financial empowerment and social empowerment will lead to political empowerment. And this is an evidence of that. We have 373 councillors, corporators who are from the Women Self-Help Group. These are some of the global recognitions we have received for some of these initiatives. Jaga Mission for the urban wage employment. Globally, top 5 innovations during the COVID time. And these are our champions. These are our community leaders. The Deputy Mayor, Bhubaneswar Municipal Corporation. You will find the photograph. Deputy Mayor of Cuttack, Slum Dweller Association President. Chairperson Gudari NAC. And the last two, if you see, FSTP Manager Cuttack and FSTP Manager Bhubaneswar, they are all transgender members. And they are not only heading our facilities, they are also managing sanitation system, they are managing water supply treatment plants, and they have also become the last 2 years, they have been declared as the national champion, as a women change leader by Government of India at the national level. They were transgenders, they were begging on the streets. So this, our experience of the last few years also have broken few myths. There were several myths floating around the 24/7 water supply that this cannot be implemented in India. It is not possible. It will be unsustainable, and our experience shows that all these things are myths, far from the facts. We broke it and we said that it is very much doable. You will find more details in the book. And we have been implementing this AHAR program, affordable meal program. Again, another myth floating around is that if you provide subsidy, if you subsidize, then it makes people lazy. It discourages enterprise. You are incentivizing poverty. These are the usual myths floating around, typically elitist. We are running AHAR program for the past almost 9 years, and we have a sanctioned meals per day 1 lakh. We are running 168 affordable food centers. They are called AHAR centers, providing affordable meal at just 5 rupees cost. We have a sanctioned meal strength of 1 lakh per day. Every day we are supposed to. The offtake, the consumption is just 80,000, 85,000. Many of these centers are closer to slums. Just because we provided this meal doesn't mean that the urban poor will close their kitchen, will start depending on your food. That was the criticism we faced when we started the meal, that you are encouraging this. It doesn't happen. People have dignity. People will not. Just because you are providing subsidy, they do not like to avail it. We have empirical evidence. When we implemented Jaga Mission, they say that you are incentivizing encroachment. You are granting land rights to slum dwellers, encroachers. It's a very bad trend. They said this will lead to proliferation of slums. 2017, that was the criticism we faced. We went ahead, implemented in all 115 cities, including Bhubaneswar. We can prove empirically that the slums have not seen abnormal growth. There is a natural growth. There is no difference. Before Jaga Mission, after Jaga Mission. There is a natural growth, that's all. Just because you are providing 30 square meter of land doesn't mean that people will leave their place and come and occupy slums or create slums. These are all myths floating around, created by the elite mindset. Some of the if I look if I look for some of the principles, leadership principles which have contributed to the transformation, I would say that we need to have a very strong purpose. The goal is very, very important. We need to have a very strong, clear vision what to do, and that should necessarily incorporate the principles of equity, inclusivity, entitlement. It should not be charity. It should be entitlement. They have a right. They have a right to city. Everyone has a right to city. Everyone has a right to dignified life. And it should be based on empowerment. Otherwise, it won't be sustainable. Securing political will is extremely important. For that, you have to create a very strong narrative. You have to have a clear-cut winning strategy. The politician should trust your program. Then only you will be able to leverage it. There is tremendous political will available. It depends upon how you are able to successfully tap it. It's like an ATM. If you have the right code, you will get the money. That pin is important. What is that pin? You have to have a very strong narrative. It has to have that purpose is very, very important. What you are going to deliver, and what is your strategy, how you are going to deliver. If you can get that trust, confidence, political will come. That's how we got all these things. And when you are working on large scale, this speed and scale is very, very important. It is not that we are government. We cannot work like an NGO. We can't work in a small village or a small ward and showcase that as a global model. We have to create scale. All our interventions are pan-Odisha. All 115 cities. No city left out. No house left out. 100% coverage, universal coverage. whether it is water supply, sanitation, jaga, every house, leaving no one behind. That is when you are working on that, then you are working with several teams, multiple teams, with multiple layers. It's a web, it's a complex web. You will have politicians at all level. So if your vision, if it has to succeed, you have to have a clear vision in mind. And everybody should buy that. It should be politically saleable. And you should be able to deliver results. The team should trust you, trust your ability to deliver. And it's very important to have short-term as well as long-term goals. Immediate results are very, very important. Only long-term goals and long-term timelines will not work. Immediate. What will I get immediately? Within 2 months, 3 months, we have to give results. We have to show the impact. Then you can take longer time. Team building is very, very essential. It is ultimately the team which is going to deliver. How you are going to build. In government, we have that disadvantage that we cannot decide our team. We have to work with the existing team. How you are able to, we are not private sector, that I can hire from the market. If I don't like anyone, I can fire them. I can create my own team. In government, it is ruled out. You have to work with the team you are given. So how do you improve the efficiency of your team? How do you build their capacity? How do you make them believe in you? How you can lead them? That's the challenge. You have to build. You have to invest on them. You have to create that kind of narrative. You have to inspire. You have to be strong. You have to, you have to give that. You should be seen as a beacon of strength, confidence. And you have to trust your team, groom the team. You have to groom leadership. We have to build a very strong partnership. We should recognize the deficits in the government system, shortfalls in the government system, and what we can do, what we cannot do. We should know, and we should know our strengths and weaknesses so that we can stitch in appropriate partnership. And one of the success factors for one of the recipe of our success is the very strong partnerships we have built in the last few years. In the bottom, you will find in the last IIT Madras. Professor Liji is looking at that. So this is the latest partnership we have stitched with the IIT Madras for the water quality management. This is the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. They are with us for the past 10 years. All, you name, all of them are not for profit. We don't pay anything to anyone. All of them are not for profit. Of course, for IIT Madras we pay, but it's an educational institution. We have no problem. And it's not on profit motive. So to close, I would like to have this quote. We don't need a title to lead. We just need to care. People would rather follow a leader with a heart than a leader with a title. So with this I close, open for discussion.
Thanks for the wonderful presentation, sir. Actually, my question is regarding the transformation what you have done from slum area to the good housing and other things. There might be a very challenges like there was a compact area and maybe thousands of houses were there. And how you remove those all houses and what kind of construction methodologies you adopted? Because in photos we have seen,
our
rows of houses,
our
vertical extension.
Yes. Our model is people-led development. Our model is, our slum upgradation is not a contractor-led model. There is no real estate in the slum program. There is no contract involved. So what we have done is that we recognized the slum dwellers, we recognized the slum, gave land rights to them. Whatever area they occupied, limiting it to 30 square meter or whatever it is, we have a norm. We have given the land right and allowed them to develop the houses. They built their houses. We have not built. There is no, normal model of slum development is that you remove them, identify a land far away from the city in the outskirts, a useless land, and give a contract to somebody's brother-in-law or somebody's cousin, and then a real estate project comes up and commissions are taken, right? and these slum dwellers will never move there. They will get the land, they get the unit, but they will not go. They will go to some other place, create another slum. In that way, you can recover this land and can give to a mall. A mall will come up in that slum area, or because you find that place as an expensive land, right? But slum, you are not improving the slum because their livelihood is closely linked to that place. They have created that. And that place, that fabric, the ecosystem has been created by them for ages, 20 years, 25 years. You can't uproot them simply and throw away to another place and expect them to create another ecosystem there. It's not possible. It doesn't happen. You only end up creating another slum and end up creating another real estate which is not occupied. So we have not taken that route. In situ development is our model and people-led development.
And the sanitation development. And mostly of urban development we have listened. I'm interested to know, sir, regarding this Odisha, such a social transformation, whether it has happened to other, sector like industries or artisans or agriculture like that. What is that program that is happening in Odisha? Are you interested to know?
Transformation in Odisha is universal. It is happening in all sectors. Because I represent Urban Development Department, I have made a presentation on the urban transformation. If you call the water resources or agriculture or any other sector, they will come and talk about the transformation happening in other sectors too. It's happening in all sectors.
Sir, can I know, you said you are giving water supply to all the houses through pipes, right? Pipelines. They are PVC pipes. After 1 or 2 years, they may get algae in that, and the water may be contaminated after coming from the station to the house. How are we going to deal that?
Quality issues we are taking care of. Professor Lizzie is there. She will explain it in detail. I think you are a civil engineering student. Madam, take note of it and tell them how we are doing. We use quality material, IAS quality materials, according to the requirements, and with that we are able to assure water adhering to IAS 10,500 quality standards, which is equivalent to mineral water.
Good evening, sir. Actually, what is the secret code? How do you manage the politicians? Okay.
You have to ask the politician, how do you manage these kind of bureaucrats? Managing politician is not very difficult.
How did they just allow, or how did they enhance your projects?
It's a game of chess. We have to keep playing. You know the strength and weakness, so you have to work with them. In fact, when we implemented all these initiatives using the community partners, women self-help group and transgender groups, that time we had a break of about 1 year without elected council, about 1.5 years. So during that time, aggressively we implemented a lot of these contractor-free programs. And when the elections were held, when they came back, they were in a shock because we have removed all the contractors and replaced them with the women self-help group. But we created such a strong community base, empowered them. They could not go against the women self-help groups. They were so scared. In fact, Bhubaneswar Municipal Corporation passed council resolution twice, stating that Slum Dweller Association President should be removed and corporator should become the Slum Dweller Association President. Because we have empowered them so much. Slum Dweller Association has got so much power, financial and other powers. The corporator felt threatened by them and they wanted to become the Slum Dweller Association President. And when the council resolution came to us, we said that we can do it. But the only way is that you become a slum dweller and become a president. That's the only way. A corporator has to move to the slum, then he has to contest the election and become a slum dweller association. That's the only way. So you have to work with the politicians.
Thank you, sir.
And many politicians are actually good. If you are working for the people, I find the politicians are with you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Okay. Thank you. I think with this we can close.
Yeah. Hello, sir. Sir, being a citizen of Odisha, I know usually you will have a 2 times a cyclone per year in in Odisha anyway. It's become a natural.
We love cyclone, and the cyclone also loves us.
Yeah, so how much it influences your urban development department actually? Because you cannot have infrastructure developments which are halfway through and it will be again will be destroyed again, it will be reconstructed. How it is meant actually?
Yeah, we frequently experience that, the natural disasters, and then we rebuild the infrastructure. There's no other way. But we are also becoming wiser. We have started building cyclone resilient, disaster resilient infrastructures. The drink from tap which we have implemented in Puri, it's a cyclone prone area, coastal city. There we have implemented digital water management system in such a way that we don't need to go physically to operate anything. Sitting here from my mobile, I can operate any pump in Puri. That's a system we have evolved. So even if the city is completely destroyed by the cyclone, without physically going there, we can operate the system. So we have built electrical system, the backup system, along with the communication systems. We are becoming wiser.
Thank you for your work, sir.
Sir, I'm so overwhelmed. I'm touched by everything that you've done. Just one question. The sanitation, when you said people have to manually go in, isn't there a technology today like the developed countries where we could use and not let a human go into the...
Which you are talking about the liquid waste management, fecal sludge.
Yeah.
Manual scavenger. Yeah, we have mechanized. We have mechanized the system. When I said that we have introduced mechanical systems and all, safety, I could not deal with that in details.
Okay.
In the safety aspect, we have brought in machines. We have removed the need for somebody to physically enter into the sewer system.
That's great. Thank you.
Mostly. If it is extremely essential, then we have a protocol.
But isn't there a physical suit or something that...
Yes, it is there. Yeah.
Great.
With
Thank
appropriate safety protocols, we do it.
you. Thank you.
That's called a manhole to machine hole, mechanizing the systems.
I have one question, sir. Like, I am staying in the western part of Odisha, Jharsuguda. So, whatever model you have implemented for Bhubaneswar and Cuttack, but is it spread to all over the Odisha?
All 115 cities.
But whatever the water treatment system they have given in my locality, they are simply taking the water from the river. They have provided some overhead tank and then provided some chlorination tank. That's it. They are not bothering about turbidity, nothing.
Out that 105 cities, I said 105 cities out of 115. Jharsuguda, Belpahad and Brajrajanagar are the work under construction. They are the difficult areas. So they were, when I said 99% households are provided, that 1% comes from Jharsuguda, Belpahad, Brajrajanagar. In fact, Brajrajanagar is the reason for that Brajrajanagar water supply scenario has changed my mind. In 2017, when I saw the water supply system, Bhubaneswar was getting about 750 LPCD per day, liters per capita, whereas Belpahad was getting about 8 LPCD. I saw the disparity. So that was another reason. In fact, Belpahad was a reason for me. It was kind of Bodhi tree for me for taking up this transformation. So maybe in another 4-5 months, we will have almost drink from tap supply in Jharsuguda, Belpahad, Brajrajanagar cluster. It's an integrated system.
Yeah, one more question, sir. Like, is there any leakage detector in the pipeline? Because if anytime any leakage will happen, just near any sewer line will be there.
It's a constant process actually. Continuously we have to monitor it. Because
how frequently we are monitoring, sir?
Whenever in the DFT cities we have the sensors embedded, the IoT sensors embedded in the network. So every 5 seconds it captures the data, quality data, flow, pressure, quality, chlorine, residual chlorine, all those things. In the non-DFT cities, we have to physically measure. In the DFT cities, it is automated, digital water management. And from the control room, you can find out at which location, every 5 seconds we capture the data. So whenever there is an issue, then we send our team. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. This talk was really an eye-opener for many of us here in IIT Madras. I now invite Mr. Kaviraj Nair, CEO, Office of Institutional Advancement, and Professor Liji Philip on stage to felicitate Mr. Mathi Vathanan. Please come over, sir. So please. Thank you so much, sir. I extend my heartfelt thanks to everybody gathered here, as Professor Liji Philip, members of my Office of Alumni and Corporate Relations, our CEO, Mr. Kaviraj Nair, and everyone gathered here.